Let's talk to Kevin Hague from the think tank These Islands, which aims to make a positive case for the UK, and Craig Dalzell from Weal. You support independence. Both of you, first of all. Kevin, what did you make of the 6 points and your analysis?
My initial reaction is a very positive one, I have to say, insofar as what this report is clearly doing is taking forward the debate. What many people, certainly myself included, were very critical about in the independence referendum was the lack of realism about the financial challenges that would be faced by a prospective independent Scotland. And this report, insofar as I've been able to read it so far, which I have to say is not very much, does appear to actually take those issues on head on, and does talk about things like fiscal responsibility and talking about achieving improved growth through efforts that will take over a generation. I.e., it's not the way the headlines are going to be spun by the pro-independence side of the campaign, but it's pretty clear to me that this is at least starting to address the reality of the problems that independence would cause before you get on to the opportunities that independence might create. And so in that sense, I applaud it. The one thing that disappoints me from my initial read, the press release on Thursday said it would look at how we could match the success of these small countries using powers available now, ... and with independence. And from my quick flick through, I've not managed to see much differentiating what we could do with the powers we've got now from what actually requires independence. The report, the very first line of the report, assumes independence and then says how would we deal with that, including the problems that creates. So the currency issue is a problem that's only created by independence. So I'm hoping that when we get to digest this report fully, we can pull out of it the positives that are available to Scotland now using the powers we have now. And I think that differentiation is really important.
Craig Dalzell, it's interesting that Kevin Hague is viewing it positively, and because there is in there the acceptance that the GERS figures are pretty well correct, and Richard Murphy is one of the big proponents of independence, doesn't like this report at all. What's your take on it?
Well, I'm fairly positive in certain respects as well, but to look at the areas where it does tackle things that independence would be necessary that we couldn't tackle as Scotland just now, it's areas such as the UK's frankly embarrassing levels of regional inequality. It's looking at areas such as the state of the immigration policies in the UK that Scotland could be much more positive towards. It wouldn't be hard to do worse than the hostile environment that the UK does just now. I do have some reservations. I share them with Professor Murphy on the currency recommendations. I don't think the sterlingisation model that's put forward here would particularly help, especially coupled with some of the fiscal restraints that it's also recommending.
I mean, can we go through the topics? We've got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Immigration, you both agree Scotland needs more people.
Absolutely. I mean, from my point of view, it's one of the elements of this report that I have no trouble fully getting behind.
Craig, you agree?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you and Mark, so we both agree on that. Or we all agree. Yeah. There would need to be fiscal credibility. You both agree on that.
We do. And the one thing I would say to Craig's point about sterlingisation, yes, sterlingisation requires greater fiscal responsibility. And as actually Craig's boss or colleague Ben Ray has said, it is incompatible with the Scottish Government's commitment to end austerity and reduce inequality, i.e. it necessarily accepts the fact that, no, Scotland and independent Scotland would have to face austerity. And the point is that's the least worst solution to the problem that independence causes, because the alternative of setting up our own currency has even greater barriers in terms of the finances required to do it.
Craig.
Except it doesn't, because it's the fiscal constraints of austerity that are causing the coming UK's consumer credit crisis, but freeing up your finances, especially if you have your own currency, to allow governments to spend and invest will avoid that coming recession. There's a reason why governments have not in the UK been able to run surpluses for more than a couple of years before the economy tips back into recession.
I don't want to interrupt. Can I just divert a little bit? We've got a couple of minutes left. Obviously, when you write a paper like this, you're not trying to get the diehards from either side. You're trying to convince the middle ground, 20, 30% of people or 5% of people. Do you both think this is enough? Kevin Hague first. Is this enough? You know, even you're the arch anti-independence blogger, and you're saying, well, I view this positively. Is this enough, do you think, to sway some people to think, do you know, if it's going to be sensible, it's sensible?
Well, I would challenge that definition a bit. I'd like to suggest I'm an arch pro-good information blogger, and insofar as this provides better information, I applaud it. I have to say, and it's always been my view, that the more informed voters are, the less appealing the prospect of independence looks, for the reasons that we're discussing now. You know, with respect to Craig and his organisation, the Fiscal Commission Working Group, you know, had a go at currency solutions. This extraordinary effort over many years has had a go at solution, and the best solution they can come up with is sterlingisation, because they know the problems that Craig is sort of rather casually dismissing. So, yes, I think it's a step forward, but I think by informing people more, it makes the prospect of independence less likely, not more.
Craig, do you hope this is enough to persuade the middle ground?
It's certainly a starting block for some more ongoing discussions, and certainly the discussions I've been having with groups, people are looking for more information, and you know, I speak to people at public events on a weekly basis, and they come in undecided, they hear the case, they walk out convinced for independence.
Okay, thank you for both coming in. I know you didn't have much time, the pair of you. Thank you very much indeed. Kevin Hague from These Islands and Craig Dalzell from the Common Weal.